bank license. We're joined by someone who knows the microfinance space very well. PH Ravi Kumar, the non-executive chairman of SKS Microfinance, joins us now. Good morning, Mr. Ravi Kumar. What's your sense? Will a license make a very big difference to microfinance companies, and alternatively not getting it, will it be a big loss in terms of getting cheap money?
Jury is out because obviously, since all of us applied for license, very clearly we felt on the balance it would make a difference. But you must understand that the scenario is different for the different categories of microfinance institutions. If you take, some of them are urban microfinance institutions and some of them are rural microfinance institutions. You are aware that 72% of Indian banking deposits come from top 200 cities in India, which means 28% of banking system deposits come from other cities, other semi-urban and other rural areas. Roughly, rural deposits as a part of existing banking system, in my opinion, are less than 3%, maybe in fact less than 2%.
Really?
Relying on deposits as the key driver for rural microfinance institutions is going to take a long time. Even urban microfinance institutions, I would compare them with cooperative banks, urban cooperative banks. Urban cooperative banks have also migrated to technology. They have also moved to providing customized solutions to their customers. Therefore, I am keeping my fingers crossed as to deposits as a reason for becoming a bank. Is it the sole reason? Having said that, I must also say that the RBI policy postulations clearly push NBFCs, whether MFI or non-MFI, as they grow in size, to become banks. That is one reason. The regulatory landscape is also a reason why most NBFCs and NBFC MFIs had applied for banking license, whether in the full-scale bank license exercise or this one.
Okay. Mr. Ravi Kumar, good morning. What do you see as the growth for the microfinance industry from here on? Because for SKS Microfinance particularly as well, the growth has been very steady. I mean, loan disbursements have gone up by 100%. Even as early as the quarter gone by, the NII growth has been 50%. What do you reckon could be the growth trajectory for the industry as a whole, say for the next 6 to 12 months?
This year, the growth trajectory should be in the region of 35 to 50%. My opinion, the sector as a whole should grow by 35 to 50%. In fact, next year, the year 16-17 could see some slowdown, because the entities which have received the license would be focusing on the infrastructure and related issues relating to conversion to a bank. And I believe they will see a slowdown in their growth, which will affect the overall growth of the sector.
Okay. There was a fear in the part of some investors that, in fact, actually, I'm referring to a Religare report, which says that microfinance institutions have over-penetrated in some of the southern states, and they could be double, treble lending to the same set of households, and hence a fear of saturation. Would you say there is that fear?
There is no doubt that the penetration in South India is much higher than the western, northern and eastern regions of India insofar as microfinance institutions are concerned. Having said that, both RBI regulations and at least definitely the larger of all the microfinance institutions now share data with the credit bureaus, and most of us do not lend to borrowers if already two MFIs are lending to a potential borrower. And that rigor has been adopted by almost all the major microfinance institutions. So I am not therefore seeing a repeat of 2011 where multiple microfinance institutions push credit down the throat of a MFI borrower.
Fair
I am
point.
not seeing that issue. Having said that, overall the microfinance penetration in India is about 11% vis-a-vis the average for the major 15 countries where MFI is strong is about 18-19%. So we may have a regional imbalance insofar as penetration is concerned, but we are far away from where the global peers are.
So this 30-40% growth is still possible, you think, for the next couple of years?
growth in microfinance institution, at least for the present, is restricted by what the individual company's management, board and executive management want it to be. Typically, you take population is a 1.25 billion, 6 people per family makes it 200 million, of which 26% is around the poverty line, which makes it easily 50 million, which means 500 lakh borrowers. All of us put together are not even a third of it, or maybe closer to 30%. So this is one segment in financial services where if we get our risk and our distribution right, growth is not a constraint.
Okay, just to get some absolute numbers, if you have any ballpark numbers with us, what could the loan disbursements for the industry as a whole, what is it now, and how much could it say grow to in about 2 to 3 years?
See, 35,000 crores was the outstanding roughly about as of 31st March 2015. And if I say 40% is the annual growth, incremental disbursements are 14,000 crores on a outstanding position. But if you take, for example, an entity like SKS itself, 75% of our loans are by way of 1-year loans, which means every year for achieving a growth, we don't have to alone replace the existing book but lend additionally. Taking incremental disbursement into account, I would say the incremental disbursements would be somewhere between 25 and 35,000 crores.
Okay. Well, Mr. Ravi Kumar, now you also have a challenge from the payment bank segment. We just heard Mr. Vineet Nair of Tech Mahindra tell us that they are one of the winners of the payment bank license, and they will be able to provide loans from MMFSL, Mahindra Finance, through, although as a payment bank they will only be allowed to take deposits, they will actually be able to sell loan products from their group company. I would assume likewise Idea would be able to do it. They have a huge NBFC back end. And so, do you see your traditional space getting eaten? Definitely all of your customers will have a mobile phone. And if there is a bank account and a loan being sold through that phone, is that competition? Will that in some way stymie both your margins as well as your growth?
No, in fact, if I were Mr. Vineet Nair, I would partner SKS Microfinance. Because Mahindra Finance, I know they are the ones who Mahindra Finance, I know has been a pioneer in rural lending. But if you look at the distribution network of Mahindra Finance, it is actually sitting above that of rural branches of public sector banks. While the microfinance institutions, the branch network is below the network of rural branches of microfinance, of public sector banks. Therefore, the customers who are our customers, the microfinance industry segment customers, are nowhere touched by NBFC lenders, including Mahindra Finance.
No, they're not. I said they will be. I'm sure they are not. I'm sure they are not. But what I mean is, if the payment bank becomes...
They will be, I know, but for unless they have a strong BC network, and we could be who could be a better BC than microfinance institutions?
I was speaking to them.
So unless they partner microfinance institutions, right now they have the license, they have to speak to others.
Okay, are you being approached by any of the payment bank guys? Since, as you say, you know, you all have the best network of borrowers.
Several of them, several independent of the payment bank license allotment. I would say that we were already doing pilots with the global investor, Mr. Vinod Khosla. He has an effort going on in northern Karnataka. We have partnered him in running pilots in northern Karnataka, using the payment bank technology to create closed user group communities. The challenge for microfinance institutions, which continues to be there today, but which hopefully the payment banks will solve, is that our last mile is fully cash based. We need to take cash, receive cash, and that adds to our operating expenses. We have substantially surmounted the challenges in the networking of very granular rural centers, and that technology assimilation has helped us in reducing our operating costs. But the elimination of cash will add easily 1 to 1.5% in the margin, and that a partnership with payment banks will definitely achieve that.
So when can we hear about you signing on the dotted line with any payment bank?
No, we have not reached that stage. I would say too far away.
Okay. So just to understand, in a tie-up with a payment bank, what kind of revenue or a fee structure will a company like yours be able to enjoy?
Actually, it has to be derived from the fee structure that the payment banks themselves have projected. If payment banks have projected X for putting in place the technology for, let us say, remittances and related payment businesses, it can be revenue to a service provider can be only a fraction of it. Therefore, unless you achieve scale, and it has to be a massive scale, at least in the next 2-3 years, I am not seeing a substantial fee income growth, even if there is a tie-up between any one of the microfinance institutions and one of the payment banks.
Okay. You had also said earlier that, in FY17, the industry will see a slowdown because of all the infrastructure issues for a conversion to a bank. How long does it take approximately for an MFI to convert to a bank seamlessly, and, the conversion process, the infrastructure issues to be sorted?
I am only looking at the, I am looking at the experience of Bandhan, because Bandhan was the largest of the MFIs, and they did slow down because of the management bandwidth issues, sustaining a current growth momentum as well as conversion into a bank. Taking that into account, I think it takes anywhere between 12 to 15 months.
All right. Mr. Ravi Kumar, we will leave it at that. Thank you very much for joining us and throwing up some interesting patterns that will emerge in the microfinance and the finance space in general. We should be seeing tie-ups between payment banks and large microfinance institutions like SKS. I guess that's the next headline we'll be waiting for from SKS itself. Well,